dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information. Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
In the world of creation, we had the two extremes, except in the case of the Creator and Mitra, where we could never bring the functionality of the soul within the functionality of physicality. We had the physicality hidden within the soul, or soul within the physicality, or in conjunction of the two, one would never had the understanding of the totality, where we could transit but exist in both directions. With the new cycle, this is what Einstein said: when you turn one atom, the other atom changes. This new dimension will blow that field which commonly exists between all the cells of the universe into that position, which means all the created things, as a gift from the Creator in a way, become able to transmute between the two dimensions. There's a reason for this, and it's taken a long time for it to be done, and it has reached its pinnacle, and it will be completed. It's already in the process of being completed. Was to take from the essence of the soul of every created things of the time, beginning of time, an essence of the creation of the soul, or the center, and create a new creature which carries all the essence of the created in the new soul, which can with it go from the soul of the Creator to the soul of physicality of Mitra. This is what the whole knowledge is. The Creator is the universe, and Mitra the dimension of physicality and its behavior towards the dimension of physicality. And with a new system, every creature in the universe will have the understanding of the capability to transmute between the two. This has a lot of implication for all races in the universe, because now they all become the same. In the coming time, we will see even change in the position of galaxies, position of universes. Many systems will move due to the changes which has been brought. Man doesn't have that knowledge as such to monitor, but we'll have the knowledge to see, we'll have the time to see that with a new fields, as we call it, a lot of things will move in the right position to keep that ability to change between the two. That you don't need to kill to keep the physicality going, you don't need to steal. And the soul does not need to be engaged or to escape, to be out on its own, to be able to confirm its existence. And this this process will complete very soon. That the whole of universal community will be able to have the benefit of the two, both in the dimension of energy or matter, which never existed. When we released the soul, we had to get rid of the physicality. You call it death. When we brought the soul, you had to give it the physicality, and you go through the dimension of the birth, and then you have the whole commotion of bringing the two. With a new system, both soul and the soul of physicality work together in the existence of dimension. We expect a massive change in the physical characteristics of human race in the coming century, because we change into the emotion of the physicality. The way, as I said many times, but many never understood, Indians and Pakistanis were the same, till one chose to take different kind of energy in the other one, and we see change of the feature. Now, with the balance between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of man, many of us will change feature, without a shadow of a doubt. Man will change the faces of anger, man will change the faces of hate, man will change the face of warmongering, because we get satisfied in the fields of it. And this is part of what will be and what has already started, and the completion of will be the birth of Mitra. Physical completion of birth of Mitra in a physical dimension, not in myths. And then we have the soul of the Creator, which the two will complete the cycle. And then, as I said very recently to one of the lecturers, then we'll see if Adam will eat from the apple of love and giving it. And then we'll see how humanity will change. And the whole creation will change. We are at the verge of that change. Much, much closer than anybody could think of, not only a human race.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 525th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, February 15th, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be your host once again in this endless series of workshops. And once again, we have the pleasure and honor of having Mr. Mehran Keshe as our guide through today's workshop. And I believe he's ready and willing and able at this moment. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Would you like to join us, please?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And as usual, we welcome you back, and let's see what we can share today and what we have learned from the cycle of life on this planet that we can expand on. When you listen to the intro, it brings out a new dimension of understanding. It brings out in how we have understood the cycle of life, how we have joined together in a dimension of the creation without knowing. And we change to different dimensions, to different characteristics according to the line of connection to the universe. In a way, if one understands and one comprehends the totality, one will see that to live, to exist anywhere in the universe, be it this on this planet, be it in the space, to manifest itself in a combination of tangible and non-tangible existence, but containing continuity of life, one will come to understand one needs different dimensions of connection, as we have talked about before. Carbon 12 is what we call as an energy pack, is for life existing, connected in a common denominator to what we call cosmic rays, which usually work on the back of the carbon 14. But in a way, if you understand it, as we spoke last week and we showed some explanation and figures last week, the common denominator, what we call the DC line, stays on the hydrogen. The carbon characteristics is overloaded on this common denominator. So when you come into the matter state, life state on this planet, you get a deviation or division or isotopes of plasma energy, not matter state energy, of carbon, that it connects you to the source, but it connects you to the matter state, which is carried by the carbon. In a way, if you would have understood, and this is for the scientists who understand or come to understand this technology in the laboratories of the Keshe Foundation in the future, is you have that common denominator hydrogen, which connects us to the creator and the creation. And then we are overloaded on top of that with matter state energy plasma at the time, place and point, which means we travel on the carbon 12 on the atmospheric condition, gravitational condition of this planet. But on another planet, another position, we get a conversion of the carbon which comes to be an energy level, what we call as a radiation of carbon 14, to become matter state in that position. What this means is that in the universe, once the line of common denominator is established, and then overloaded by the energy fields, which is the deviation according to interaction of the fields of the environment, then that environment dictates how carbon 14, as what we call cosmic ray, is converted into that matter in interaction with the field, gravitational magnetic fields of the space, time, and position, which leads to the condition of creation of new life in that position. This is important for our knowledge seekers to understand, and the scientists who work in the space technology of the future. What this means, if you want to travel from Earth to another system, another planet, you travel on the common denominator of hydrogen with overload of the amino acid carbon connection of the man to the conversion of magnetic fields in a way of gravitational magnetical field of the position that allows you to manifest yourself in that time, space, and position. Which means if you land in a place that there is no carbon, it doesn't mean you cannot exist. When man understands this, when the scientists can go through this conversion, so when we send the man to space, we send the man with the amino acid of the Earth to space, plus the conversion to the time and place and position. So in a way, let's say you have Mr. Cohen, and in that position, carbon 14 in conversion by reflection of the carbon 60 of the what we call universal strength can convert to be potassium. So you actually have Mr. Cohen plus potassium, plasmatic magnetic fields, and this allows you to create a new, what we call, as you like it, hemoglobin, that man can survive in that place and position and can react and live the position and time and the space. We know this knowledge, we know this technology, we see it on a daily basis, but we never understood this. If you look at what we call the plants, which eat flies, which eat live animals, they trap them in and then digest them. They go through this process because once the clap are closed with a fly inside it, now is not any more atmospheric condition, is the plasmatic condition of the two surfaces which they have trapped the animal in. It's like the jaw of the man when he closes, when you close, you put a banana in your mouth and you close your mouth, that banana is not a banana plasmatic condition anymore, even if it looks as a banana in your mouth. So if you understand this, man will learn from these plants, man will learn the cosmetic condition and universal condition and cosmic ray condition of the conversion into existing two dimension in space that allows the soul of the man, when returns back to earth condition, to go back on carbon 12, amino acid, look like a man, hemoglobin, and the structure of the man. Then you understand. We call it the amino acid. But the amino acid, the strength of the hemoglobin is different than amino acid of the plant. It's different than amino acid which created the stone. Then man has to find out how to create the same amino acid combination of Mr. Cohen, that they can coexist, live within each other and through each other. What this means? It means when I put you in a system with your beautiful dress, you're going to a wedding from London to New York, and you happen to be hungry, or you carry an apple in your handbag or a banana just in case you go hungry. I have to transfer your amino acid of your human flesh. I have to transfer the amino acid of the apple or a banana, and I have to transfer the amino acid of the clothes you wear. If you cannot get this right, we have a beautiful woman in birthday suits in New York with no food to eat because we forgot to transfer the handbag. We did not understand the concept. And this is why many of you knowledge seekers who've been with us cannot manifest yourself. Because we never allowed, we never built this into our systems, even though we know about it for decades. With a new system, which is developed with the Keshe Foundation, all these matters now is complete. Which means in the coming time, when we put you through these tests, like those of you who join us tomorrow, not only you'll be able to transmute in the dimension of energy of the soul, you can transfer the plasmatic condition of the amino acid of the content of your body. In a way, you just had a beautiful steak in London, and sorry, we forgot to carry the steak. You arrive in New York and you're hungry because we didn't have the right combination of the mustard and the chips you had with the food in London. Because there is amino acid of vegetation inside, different than the amino acid of the body. This implication, understanding of this science, it needs to be unraveled, it needs to be understood. And the prime position to understand this for the scientist is in the stomach of the man, the same as that plant which closes. How we convert the amino acids of different structures into what we call energies of the body of the man. How do we convert the potassium or calcium or magnesium tablets, which is in a solid state, into your body, and then you take the energy of it? Our body does this transmutation of the energies automatically, but we never understood, and we just do as we done. Ignorance is a bliss. Now that we have entered the science of transmutation, energy transfer, we have to understand. Otherwise, unfortunately, you don't want a bride to turn up in a wedding from another planet naked because you forgot to add the amino acid of the position, connection of the time and the space and manifestation. You got to understand, as I said, you have not even entered standing up, let alone walking on the steps of the knowledge of the universe, which is thousands of steps. Now you understand why many of you, all of you, being there, you went to the moon, but you can't give yourself physical manifestation. Because in the structure of the technology, even though I thought this 4 or 5 years ago, and it's recorded in knowledge seekers, you have pictures of it, you never understood. And now in the new development, new technologies, we have brought this into operation, because now our knowledge seekers can understand what it means, what it implements. Where we have to, the next step is to find the condition of the gaseous amino acid, which this is another problem. Then You have to understand. You talk about it, but you don't understand it, or many scientists will talk about it, never understand it, is what is the game of carbon-60? Why do we have this crystal structure? What is the purpose of it in the universe? If you really want to understand what carbon-60 is, look at your skin. And look where on your skin you see a 5-sided hexagonal shape. Then you understand that cell, that piece of skin, is part of the structure of the carbon-60, which allows you to be connected into universal magnetic fields, to be contained in this universe. In the future, man even has to understand how to break out of this crystal structure to be able to travel into another dimension, in another universe. Carbon-60 is very simple. It's 5 times 12, which is carbon-12. Then you understand, in so many ways, why you need this. If you don't understand this, go and get yourself a leather football. All leather footballs, or the new leather footballs. You look how many 6-sided shapes you have, and then you look 1 or 2 5-sided are in that sphere. Without that 5-sided, the shape, the structure of the plasma will not hold. You cannot put a 6-sided structure in. Now you understand how the universe works. You want to get to the skin of, to the boundary of this universe, to travel into the other, you have to find that 5-sided. That's your line of connection, because that structure, that point, that spot on the universe is common amongst all the universes. This is your, what I call, connection line between universes. Even the fields of the common denominator to the creator goes through this. Now, you as knowledge seekers who are still struggling with your magrabs, try to understand this problem. In the scientific structure, we are building this up. And as I said many times, just because you carry a mobile phone and you speak your funny languages on it, and the other side put the translator and gets translated to, you don't need to know how the mobile phone and the translator was built. And those who understand it, they value it, they will understand what to do with it. It's very much like early 2010, 2004, 2003, 2005, Belgium came out with the automatic translator. The king of Belgium wanted to steal this because they understood it. They mocked the guy and they stole the technology. They put a play recorder under the table and said, oh, he's just using a play recorder. And they stole the technology. This is a habit of the Belgians. And now we see what was brought in years earlier, now is a common use with all of us on our mobile phone. We can translate to the word, to the voice, to the image. Just because you don't understand it, it doesn't mean it cannot be done. But those of you knowledge seekers who are in a magrab and against game, and you're still busy with it, try to understand, try to interact with the what I call carbon-60. How you produce it, and how through this carbon-60 you can find common denominator amino acid of all the structures of the universe and unicos. If you don't do, it'll come to your peril. You will lose everything in the universe because you cannot convert. You'll be those souls who are lost in space. You'll become the ghost of the universe because you cannot give yourself the dimension of physicality manifestation at the time, place, and point in space. Those of you who go with us through the session tomorrow, for the first time, you will have access to what I call universal amino acid condition. Which means gradually in the coming time, you can give yourself physicality of manifestation at the point, time, and place if you can replicate it. As I said, those of you who join us in these monthly sessions, we are preparing you for what we call transmutation in a full meaning way. In developing these technologies, you have to understand, we have to protect you. We have to bring conditions in that it works, it develops to a fruitful condition of the transmutation. Many of you who have this problem with too much physicality, and you cannot go, you cannot feel, I don't know what happened, did I feel anything? Even while your thinking is part of the process of transmutation, but you so much want to be controlled that you don't even understand your thinking is in transmutation level. Then you come to understand the dimension of manifestation and physicality. In the process of the creation, in the process of development of this technology, we explain everything. And in the time to come, the scientists who understand this will come to benefit by it, will come to develop technologies which can mature to science and technologies that will help man to go another step. But in these teachings of past decades, we setting the base, the basic knowledge for you, and at the same time we add to it that one day somebody somewhere on this planet or somewhere else will use it to mutate the knowledge of the universe to the benefit of its citizens. Now you have to understand how to produce carbon-60, how to produce carbon-14, how to produce carbon-28, how to produce carbon-30, how to produce carbon-12, and how to produce carbon in the level of 4. Now you understand. When you go back to the original patterns of the Keshe Foundation, when I speak about inert gases and the game they play in creation of ionization, in creation of what we call creating conditions of the cosmic radiation and not cosmic rays, and not cosmic fields. Now, if you understood this, if as knowledge seekers you understand the totality of what has been discussed in past few minutes, you understand, all of you as knowledge seekers gradually are moving towards a full transmutation. But our scientists have to understand, our scientists have to implement, our scientists have to bring about the condition of creation of the carbon-14 and 60, that in the structure of the body of the system, we replicate the structure of body of your skin. And get the microscope, get the lens, and Look at your skin. See where you find a perfect five-sided structure. And that is the point of your connection to universal energy. In the future, scientists will use this to create the point of transmutation through universes. Every creature, dimension of physicality or energy, contains this, even in the shape of a plasma. You have to be able to create the 4 dimensions of the amino acid to be able to survive the universe, to be able to live. Earth as a gas, as a solid, as a liquid, and it's got living condition. So it's the same with every structure in the universe. And the man has to understand this knowledge fully before it transmutes. This knowledge is embedded within the soul of the man, not in the DNA of the man. And DNA, according to the structure of the RNA, to the universal knowledge, creates that little 5-sided hexagon on your skin, the same as a football. Football, you might need a couple of them on the skin of the man, because the curvature and the field forces to be sustained, you have many of them. Now you understand how much more you need to understand. And now you understand how close we are bringing you to a full transmutation. In the next few weeks, I will ask you to submit a picture to the Keshe Foundation live online. It could be your uncle, it could be the president of a nation, it could be a dog, a cat. In your presence will manifest that entity in a time, place, and a position which you agree. You haven't seen your mother for 20 years. She's in Australia and you're in the United States. With a picture of the man, we can even now transmute the man. It's very easy. If it looks like magic to you, understand the science of it. Once the image is created, energies of the dimension of connection has created. And we don't need to do it anymore. Then you understand when I explained to you many years ago, I'll bring you the cries for you to see. We don't need the image. The thought, understanding of the history book of the man will give us that connection through emotion and intention, as each have their own strength. Now you understand how much more as knowledge seekers you have to move on. You're just like a flock of ducks trying to escape, and I have to herd you in. There's only one hole to go out. And that's a hole of knowledge of the creation. And we cannot force feed you. You have to do it on your own, by elevating your soul, by understanding the knowledge of. This is not a Chinese duck farm which there is a hole and the guy grabs the neck of whatever it sticks out and puts a pipe in it and force feed it and release it till it goes on the other side of the wall and pull it out again when it's feeding next time. You got to understand. For completion of the science of transmutation, you as knowledge seekers have to understand the whole process of the creation. The whole process of understanding the process of creation. And you don't need a lifetime. You can access this if you understand and apply it within seconds. You call it the enlightenment. I call it the knowledge of the universe become available to you. Does not need you to head bang on the floor 17 times a day or go to the Great Wall and bang your head against the wall. All it needs is clarity of soul, clarity of understanding the knowledge of the creation, and no one can give you this in the name of the Prophet, Ayatollahs and the rest, except yourself in understanding, enlightening yourself to the energy fields of the universe by yourself and how to use it. You do not need to go through the pain channel because it'll never bring you anywhere. You have to go through the pleasure channel, which by pleasure is by giving, by loving, which opens the other doors of the knowledge to you. Now you understand why I keep on telling you, teach the technology. As you teach, you'll empty the cup and it gets filled up with the new knowledge that takes you one step further. And the minute you start abusing that, you go back to the beginning, but you still think you understood a lot, but in fact you are still galloping in the, what I'll call the puddle of dirt you created for yourself through arrogance of the knowledge which you never understood. You have to understand the structure of the creation. You have to understand the structure of the existence. You have to understand how things are applied and to where and who and what they're applied. How do you convert a plasma into matter state and how you convert matter state into plasma? It's not done by salt and vinegar and sugar. It comes by understanding the science of creation. And more or less, in the past 10 years, I have taught you the full knowledge. You have to go and pick it up and apply it. Pick it up and reproduce it. And all these plasma systems and maglev systems have blocked you from understanding the totality of the creation. When you produce a gas within dimension, what is for? What does it create? Where does it connect me to? Do I need it and how do I need it? When you create the amino acid, in what you are connected, when I come to another position, there is no nitrogen on this planet. So I have to keep the amino acid of me, but here is potassium. So I change, I still keep possibility of the hydrogen and the carbon which connects me to the universe in the dimension of the energy, and that energy of the conversion, nitrogen becomes potassium. Possibility, you will look a little bit green. So on this planet, we all have brownish conversion of the skin due to the potassium. You have different green condition, most probably. And then if you go to levels of the, what I call plutonium and uranium, you look a little bit more silverish. And more or less, when man becomes visually expert, you can see by the color of the skin, even if they look like a man, these people carry the fingerprint of another condition in the universe. In a way, you cannot hide the field strength combination of that five-sided cell is a peeping hole into the condition of existence. If you understand this process, and if you understand how to achieve the combination of this process, creation of the plasma in a dimension of universal condition becomes a child's play. And if you don't, you're still playing with the children's toys, which is a magma. Now you have to extend the knowledge. You have to sit down and analyze what you have missed. In the session tomorrow, many of you will go through new experiences. Many of you will experience new dimensions. Some of you might go to the level of conversion into the transmutation and see yourself, physically touch yourself, but don't know where you are. Then you have to analyze. You have to find out how you take the situation back. We sit in the background, we create the environment. You are the dancers, we create the floor. One of you like to dance Greek, and one of you like to learn Arabic, and the other one goes to disco in New York. Shake and shiver the way you like. It's important for you to understand this, and not for us to force feed and force create. It's important for you to understand how to create the carbon connection with the dimension of the strength of the fields of the place, time, and position. And if you understood this, you will understand why you, man, changes appearance as it lives in different part of this planet. As the conversion of the carbon-14 in connection with the space, time, and area has a different strength, and the combination of the two creates a new dimension for the amino acid isotope structure, which gives you narrower eyes, darker skin, lighter eyes, and everything else. Now you understand even how you are, in a way, mutating. If you understand this scientifically, now you understand how man has mutated to so many races, colors, and everything else. A black man moves from East Africa on a boat, ends up in a place called Australia, and his feature changes. A black man goes walking down the river of what I call centuries, and ends up in Europe, and it comes blue eyes and blonde. It's the interaction of the carbon-14 of the body of the man, containment of the carbon-60, communication line of the physical condition of carbon-12 of the physical body of the man, with the same as what Earth planet has, is carbon-14 connection to his solar system, carbon-12 of the matter state condition of his existence, and carbon-60 of the containment of the place, time, and position of the solar system, the planet, and the man itself. Now you understand how you meet it. And now you understand when I tell you go from Africa as an African and you end up in Finland and you got these blue eyes and blonde hair and white skin. What happened? If you travel in the dimension of the soul, this is inevitable. When you travel in dimension of physicality on a first class seat on the Airbus, you're still the same monkey coming out of one door because you moved the physicality, you didn't move the soul. I wonder when in the future man will test this, will send as part of energy of himself in a dimension of the physical condition by the aircraft to Finland, and then the other parts in dimension of the soul arrives and wait the other one to arrive and see, this is me and this is me. One came to dimension of the transfer and one came through dimension of the transmutation. Then your problem is, how do you fit one in the other? It'll be interesting how in the future, when we come to understand the condition of the transmutation, how our beautiful people will look. One will be black, one will be white, one will be blonde, and one will be brown. Because the dimension of the soul interaction with its environment manifests the physicality which satisfies both emotion of the souls. Now you understand how sweet the life of man becomes, and with all these to explore how man will forget about the wars and conflicts, because this game is a better magician. As I said before, and I repeat it till some of you, or most of you understand, you have no choice. And in a way, one way or another, there is a force behind you which pushes you to go through that hole. You might try all to go one by one and get caught on the other side by the neck, or you totally understand the world does not exist as you travel through the dimension of the soul, and no one to catch you on the other side. And then you understand how some of you can walk through the walls as you transfer through the energy transfer, not the physical dimension. You get a bruise and a bang head and broken arms as you're trying to go through something which the matter state does not allow you. And in a coming time, as you become experts, you'll find out you can walk through any walls, any mountains, and anything you like. This knowledge will come into test from tomorrow, in the first phase of it. In that process, many of you should be able, gradually in time, to transmute. Transmutation on this earth is very simple. Because you are a man, you end up as a man, maybe as a dog, and say, oh, I was a man on the other planet. On the way you played a little bit, you change the energy, you end up with the amino acid of a dog, but you'll be able to talk and tell people who you are. The problem will come for you when we transmute the first couple to the moon, where we have to go through the dimension of carbon-14 and carbon-60 transmutation. The universal line of connection. On Earth, you're all within the grasp of the gravitational magnetic field of the womb of the village of Earth. Outside this planet, you are not. And that's why you understand we separated transmutation and those who become the people who transfer across. I explained this to you in the past couple of teachings, where inside the plasma of the Earth, we are all flatliners. When I put you outside, you are two flatliners, one of the flatline plasma of the Earth, and now one of the plasma line of the solar system. And these two, when they interact, will create a new sinusoidal shape of the fields, let's say. And then we have to understand how that interacts with the plasma flatline of the moon, and then you arrive in one piece. In so many ways. Creation of the field, manipulation of the fields, structuring the fields, holding to the fields you want, making the fields you don't need to make what you need. It becomes a game that many of you will start in the coming time. And don't take it that it happened accidentally. You've done it purposely because you went for it. And this is what will bring you to understand the totality. This is what will bring you to understand the structure, to understand the possibilities, to understand how you have to behave. And it brings you a new behavior. And it brings you to a position that you understand I have to handle two things at the same time. And that is important. Please excuse me for 1 second.
Okay, well, bear with us, says Mr. Keshe.
Okay, sorry
Oh,
about
there
that.
we are.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. I told you beforehand I might receive a call I have to answer. What is important and what will come to part of our work in understanding the totality is how we progress to this point. How we come to pass the totality of understanding of the knowledge of creation. What is the consequences of our action in the soul dimension and in matter condition, or what we call the state of physicality of the man. In the coming days, in the coming weeks, we expand this knowledge as our knowledge seekers understand, and systems and technologies are developed for it. You got to realize how to merge the knowledge of physicality with the knowledge of plasma energy, and how to separate, and how the dimension of physicality has to go into the dimension of flatline, and how you carry that information within this plasma light. To what extent we will go through this, to what extent we will understand this, and how fast you can transfer this knowledge to the others. As I said many times, I'll bring you a drop of water that when it falls in another water will create that fish. In fact, that drop is your soul, and the other water is a plasma field of the universe. What kind of fish you'll come out of in that new environment? Would you be a shark or goldfish? Would you turn out to be an octopus, or would you turn up to be a whale? Now you understand the mythical conditions that you have to understand to bring to reality. Not us. There is no blueprint. There is no fixed conditions. Every soul is unique, and every condition, time and place and position is unique. And you are the one who decided. You are the one, through the dimension of the soul, and the soul of physicality will create that physicality. Now you understand what I told you many times. Live by ethos of Mitra, as your soul and soul of physicality cannot lie to each other, because if they do, you end up with a cancer. And this cancer this time is you as a nomad in a universe. Now you understand how the ethos of universe works, because as a soul level connected to the soul of creator, I shall not lie. The soul of physicality plays, and I shall lie. You have to teach this guy, we play the God's game, not man's game. Then you understand how you have to process, how you have to proceed, how you have to come to the point of interaction of the field of the soul of them. I hope, my sincere hope is, I open a door into your life, and I gave you indication and physicality that you can check. In so many ways, by the structure of the physicality of your body, you can tell how close you are in the soul level and the soul of physicality to transmute. There is a sign, there is a way for you to understand by looking at the structure of physicality yourself, to see how close you are to the point of transmutation. Doesn't matter how you feel you are. You cannot take the cake out of the oven if it's not ready. Even though it looks cooked outside, but it's raw inside. Now you understand. Now you put it this way. I gave you the maglev systems. Use it to understand. Use it to create a condition to understand. As I said to a knowledge seeker, next time when you get a maglev, instead of plugging it into the wall, plug it into your brain. And see, you get more out of it than what you try to save a few dollars on the wall. And this is what I always told you. Connect to the fields, not plug into the fields. Of interaction of all the coils with the numbers which you have created Maghreb system out of, connects you more or less all the field spectrum of the universe. But you don't have the knowledge, you cannot understand. To you, still, is the right turn, is the left turn, is this 41 turn or 40 turns? It's one human and so many hundreds of turns, fields, left, right, up, down, and every other, and the central field force of the universe. What I've given you as a Maghreb gives you entry for transmutation into the realm and dimensions of the universe. If your soul of physicality and the soul do not lie to each other, or be there, I want to transmute, but I want to get the electricity bill as well. Stick to your electricity bill. Be a citizen of this planet. You cannot lie to it. Look at the structure of the Maghreb. The three kings. Look at the rings of the Maghreb. One inside the other. Capable at each level to be correct and not to be correct. Then find out how you have sat on the three kings that the Jews celebrate, and you are given free and you suffer. Now you understand. Now maybe you understand. You think good, you connect to the bottom level, or do you connect to the top level? You talk good, you connect the top and the bottom together, and you act good. Your physicality is a manifestation of your position. Then you understand. You can talk good, think good, but act wrong. Cha-chung. You're going nowhere. Because you cannot cheat between the two. They are aware of the truth within you. You have to accept the responsibility of the three in the correct way to hit the jackpot. And then you have to get all the strength in every turn correct. Emotion of sadness, emotion of joy, emotion of stealing, emotion of blah blah. In every coin, every turn, every ring, every level. And if you get all that right, you reach the field, the strength of the Creator. I don't think I could explain in much more clarity the purpose of the Magravs. Is your tester. Don't plug it into the wall. Understand it works in conjunction with the work of your own life. How many of you have made the Magravs and laced it with the energy of yourself, then putting amino acid and God knows what in the center of it, in a bowl outside it, and soak it in different ganses. One day, mankind will laugh at huge knowledge seekers that he really played with them. He could have told them from the beginning what is going on, but till you don't try, you don't know. You don't understand. Now you are trying. You have no choice. You have to understand. Understand the totality of the work of your own soul and the soul of physicality, and stay correct in all time with all lines. And then you see, never steal, always ask. and never think is your right. If you've been around me, you always know I always ask. Doesn't matter what. Because when it's given, it carries that soul for elevation. Now you understand the totality. Now you understand the game played by you, by your soul and soul of physicality at the same time, place, and position. I hope today I open your eyes in what is about to come, what you need to do to be, and how you come in conjunction and connection with each other. Tomorrow, when you join us, if you have a maghreb system, leave it in the room next door. Make sure you don't sit in the room with a maghreb in it. Because in the next sessions, I show you how to use maghreb, and your soul will teach you where you're going wrong. Don't bring it with you in tomorrow, and make sure you're nowhere near a maghreb set, because you will experience a new cycle of life. And don't say, I imagine I went. You imagine you went, but now you have the capability of the physical manifestation of yourself in the dimension of energy. Let's see how many of you will enjoy the trip tomorrow, and how many of you will go through what are called the barrier of the transmutation and transfer. Thank you very much for today. And as I said, we join the soul teaching, the cosmic rays, the maghreb system, and everything else we have taught you in the past. Now it's all coming to the same pot to cook, to make the soup ready to eat. All depends what fire you put under it. And in a way, does it need a fire? Or it just needs essence of understanding. Thank you very much, Rick. Take us through a break and we come back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. All right, we will be back shortly after these break messages.
The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a space technology that allows you to work with the fields of the universe. Creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions, it allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the man can follow to find their balance, elevating the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
Okay, we're back again at the second half of the 525th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, February 15th. And because it's the second half, we get to ask questions of Mr. Keshe. So I'll remind the attendees that you'll have the opportunity to raise your hand, your virtual hand that is, and we can open your microphone so that you can speak. Others can put their questions in the chats in our new Vimeo channel or in the existing YouTube live stream as well. But Mr. Keshe, you have a few things you probably like to say first, I believe.
As usual, we bring some notes in. The foundation has announced last week about the new research groups for Arizona and subsequently for Iran and China. We had one of our dearest knowledge seekers putting a note that this is a slavery that we pay for our research, and then the intellectual right doesn't belong to us, belongs to the foundation and the rest of it. And I made a note to it. If we do such a thing, is because we done such a thing. I spend all the assets possible. I do all the research. And at the end of it, all goes to the foundation. In a way, I'm detached from the financial side, I'm detached from my own life, which I put in it, and detached from the knowledge gained because it becomes knowledge of the foundation. So, would leave, but what do we do? And not asking you to do anything we haven't done. On the other hand, becoming a researcher allows you to learn new ways, and if you decide at the end of it to stay with the research, continuing to what is to be added to, then you get employed back on. Most probably you pay 25,000 for 3 years, you get 100, 200,000 a year at the end of it, if that's your target. And at the same time, as those of you as knowledge seekers who came to the Sensano and the rest of it, a lot of money is spent just keeping you as knowledge seekers. What you pay does not even cover the expense of the maintenance and the rent of the places. Those of you who came to Trani and then to Valletta as the last second year of the knowledge seekers, you have to know the premises cost us about 30,000 a month. Without all other support expenses. So what you pay 20, 25,000, even 100 of you, does not even cover the expenses of the running. And you go to the supermarket to shop, you pay for it, and then you go home and you start arguing what you learned to cook what you want with it. This is the same, but you cook for humanity. So those of you who think you're paying a lot, you have to understand you have paid nothing compared to what will cover just to light up the place for 100 of you for 1 year. Create accommodation, all the scientific tools, and all the bits which you make a mistake and has to be redone, rebuilt, rebate, and the rest of it. So I would love to see any of you would like to take this banner up. We pay you and you do it for that amount. In a way, what I taught today in the first session shows you we haven't even started the process of the knowledge. We just played with the blocks of the Lego. We don't even know how to put them together and how they look at the end. So the research is needed and has to be done. Like the Chinese government pays from their side, Keshe Foundation brings 200 scientists of itself, has to pay for itself. And it comes through you as knowledge seekers paying to be part of it, we pay the other part of it. We have put out the hand of collaboration to the other governments and we wait for the response. We wait for understanding of what is to come next and how we shape. Those of you who want to be part of this research, please complete the process in how you want to do it. That is done by the September time. You're ready to go through. And then we go to the next steps of development and everything else. In the process of the material development of the Keshe Foundation, we are processing new, what we call technologies, and we'll offer you new systems for trials that using the knowledge, we can extend the knowledge of the other side of the development of the Keshe Foundation for space development. Please understand, I cannot do more than what is, and as I said to one of the knowledge seekers, by law, by the standard way of the life, and what it is in the what we call the commercial world, as you're so connected to all the financial structure, people at the age of 65 put their leg up and the coats, put the hat on, and they start becoming a pensioner and waiting for the coffin to arrive. Pension time. In my case, in that age, I just started a new cycle to teach, to develop, and to spread. And now I have another cycle of 65 to go to complete for you lot before I become a pensioner. So new cycle of life has started and new teachings has to be done, new sharing of the knowledge. And I hope you understand this. I haven't put my foot up. I've done it That's it. Insurance company and a pension policy says 65, you retire. I've just started nursery of the knowledge, and I'm going to still go to class 1. And I hope you as knowledge seekers go the same way, because you'll understand age does not count as the time is non-existence. If there are any questions, we answer, and otherwise we are not the slavers, and we don't take nobody for a slavery. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Let's see here. We have a question in the YouTube. Do we have from Joy House? Do we have to convert ourselves into the shape of a dodecahedron in order to transmute, Mr. Keshe? Much love, Karen from South Africa.
What?
Do we
Somebody
have to
translate? Somebody
convert,
translate.
I think, into the shape of essentially a football in order to transmute?
That's what I said, translate. In a way, no. In a way, when you become a plasma of yourself, yes. But on the other hand, go back to book number 2. At 2 ends, you are a plasma in a spherical shape. In between, you are a ray, even though the same plasma. And in so many ways, where do you want to transmute to that shape, at the end or in the middle? Impossible. It's not impossible in the middle, but you take longer time, and the losses are bigger. And stretching the ball gives you a lot of advantages, because in the world of when we talk about the ray, you got to understand your higher order magnetic fields goes to outside. The lower, which is the central point, goes to the lesser. A plasma in the direction of the motion in that state is very much is like in a vacuum state. The stronger fields sits within, which in a way is the weakest, which is the center. This is how it works. The work of cosmic rays is very much like a vacuum or centrifugal system. The stronger fields, the heavier material goes to the boundary, and the lighter, which is the line of common denominator, goes in the center. And you find out for that, you need to be able to travel in what we call a spherical shape, then into cylindrical, and then back into a spherical. Even the cylindrical is so narrow, it is not even a cylindrical, it's more like a ring than the field, because you're traveling on the line of the common denominator, and it's so narrow. I explained this once to a child. Maybe this means something to you. Get yourself a rose. I should say, happy Valentine to those of you who bought the rose yesterday, so I'm not sure, still in the process, might be having passed the 12 hours to go to the 15th. Get a rose and get yourself a ring. And try to pull the rose from its stem through the ring. That stem, that central line, is the hydrogen. And all the leaves and the flowers and the rest, which now have to go through that ring, are your life of physicality, your emotions, and everything else. But you fit in somehow. Make the ring into a tube, and you see when the flower end comes out of the tube, when you're already pulling on the long stem on the other end. And this is how Life of a man in the dimension of transmutation is, you are a beautiful rose and a beautiful stem of connection of line to the Creator. You put yourself through a tunnel, pulled by the stem, and you come out on the other side, what we call as the same rose. But you've gone through the tunnel of the transmutation of time and space in the universe. If you made the mistake about the ring and the size of the tube, you come out a slightly different rose, shivery, shivery on the other end. If you get everything right, you come out the same spinning rose on the other end. Maybe because of the color of the shade of the light on the other end, you look slightly different. So you don't need to become anything. You're already all of it. Then the book 1 is on the end before you get in the tube. The tube is book number 2, and you end up on the other side with the rest of the roses as part of the universal community. I hope I explained that to you simply, and if you understand it. Any other question?
You have a hand up here with Gatwa. Gatwa, would you like to go ahead, please?
Thank you, Rick, but I didn't have my hand up. Let me know it was an accident.
Anyway, nice to hear from you, Dr. Gatwa.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Okay, let me just check our chats here.
For those of you who might thought we might put you through a system today, we're off today because systems are getting set up for tomorrow's meeting. Don't forget, tomorrow is at 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. we start the session. Yes.
Okay, we've got a question from Trevor here in the Q&A, who says, "Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for the wonderful teaching today. You spoke in the last couple of workshops about Cyrus and how he is an example of how men should treat women, and how when the woman becomes the abuser, she has the right to leave. My question is, how should women be treating men in partnership? Maybe it's an obvious answer. I'm curious what your perspective is, though."
I had a link sent to me by Azar last night. And in that link, he says that in time of Kurosh, or Darius, we had a month called like the month of lovers, and we had a day called the day of lovers. And when the month and the day become the same, that day was a day that the men did everything for their wives. This is a 2,500 plus years tradition, you know. And men worship their women, buy presents for them, give them everything else for that day to their mothers, to their wives, to their daughters, and the rest. And in a way, the point of respect, and that day falls more or less about 4th of what we call another 10 days from the what we call the Valentine time of today. There's that 12 days gap again between the Iranian calendar and the international calendar, the rest of it. And it is very interesting. I have a cousin, she's extremely nasty, very pinpointed. She came to see us in Desensano, and she said, you know, Mehran, in all the holy books, they say that The man can have 4 wives, can have many things, blah, 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 blah. But in none of the holy books, it says how many husbands a woman can have. So we are free. We can marry as many men as we like. And as we have no restriction, there is no adultery. But the men change it for themselves. And in a way, being what we call minded that way, which is correct. All the restriction of how many men you can have, I've discussed this before, how many wives you can have, is only for men. You women are free. And I said yesterday to a friend of mine, you women are waiting for that Valentine rose, Valentine gift. Excuse me, it's a two-way traffic. It's not only men who love women, you women love more men than men loves you. What did you give? And do we need to love only one day a year? Or can we have it every day of the year? Do you open your eyes every day to your lover, to your wife, to your husband, and say, I love you? When is the last time you told your partner you love her or love him? Or does it have to be Valentine? Yesterday I was driving down the road and near me there is a flower shop. And the flower shop was like a bread shop. There was a queue of men all waiting to buy one rose. I thought, oh my God. It's come. And there was no women in the line. They were all men, short, tall, and they were queuing to go into this tiny little flower shop to buy one rose. And they were coming out because I was sitting in traffic. I had no choice. I had to watch it. And I thought, where is the woman? When they're going to love us? So where does the line comes? Why does it have to be always? Why is not both ways and all times? And isn't the problem with most of the relationship is that we forgot or we forget and we are too busy just to tell our partner once a day, once so often, I love you too. The strength about, oh yeah, you keep on telling me this. Yeah. But you know something, somewhere registers. It's walking into a flower shop, buying 2 roses, pack them separately, and tell the cashier, one is for my wife and one is for my mistress. The cashier looks, well, the second one is for my daughter, because the love of me for my daughter is the same as love of me for my wife, as she gave me the love to love. Then you understand. Does it need to be a man only purchase? Or do we open a flower shop next to the one? Roses for men and roses for women. Yesterday, I was sitting at the dinner table and 2 ladies walk in, each one carrying 2 roses and one carrying 1 roses. And I said to the person who was with me, look, these 2 are lesbians. They've given each other flowers. And otherwise, if they had real lovers, we would have been with them. And we joked and laughed about it. And this is how life it is. Loving a person is the old traditional Iranian way. You can do it a month a year. And then every month you have that day in the month. You don't need to wait for the 14th of February to become a Valentine's Day. It will be Valentine's Day, 30 days a month, plus another 11 days on top of it. But once you get into the habit, every day is a Valentine Day. We've forgotten how to love because we've forgotten how to love the Creator, and now we are entangled with it. Doesn't matter you're a man or a woman. How many times have you woken up at night kissing your partner, I love you? And then you don't even ask tomorrow morning, did you remember I kissed you saying I love you? See what reaction you get the next day. And then you understand it's deep time the soul's here. It's a long, long path for man to understand the truth about the creation. Any other question?
As our put a comment in the Q&A, since men cheat, they feel guilty, so they go buy the rose.
Ha, ha, ha. So women cheat. Men don't need to cheat. Women cheat more than men do. Depends what you call cheating. This is the way women convince themselves men only cheat. All creatures cheat in the two-legged life of man. Depends. Does not need to be physical. You see how women turn things towards themselves? All men cheat. More women cheat than men. But men have a conscience and they suffer with it. Women see the natural process. Always called it multitasking. Any other question?
Thank you for that. We had a question from Renate in the Q&A.
Do you know there's a very old joke about a couple getting married? And the husband brings 2 jars, seal jars. He says, we are humans and things can happen. If you ever do anything wrong, just put a grain of rice in the bucket, in this pot. And then when we get old, we open the pot. We don't need to say anything. That time we had a lifetime together. We enjoyed our life, but we understand what happened. Married for 60 years, it comes their old age. The guy says, can you go and bring the pots we bought when we were young? They open the pot of the man. It's got few rice grains at the bottom. The woman looks and the man says, sorry, I'm very sorry, you know, I was young and this and that. He says, open your pot. They open the woman's pot. It's nearly half full. He says, woman, what have you been up to? He says, this is the 3rd time this jar is full. Now, answer to Azar is, we never know. It's within us and we only know what we do. Next question, please.
Okay. I had to do a German translation of Renate's question, which is, will I please receive an email today with instructions for tomorrow's transmutation preparation? Which Zoom link, at what time? How do I set up the cell phone?
The links usually we leave it till later on Thursday night, even early Friday morning, because a lot of people still register, and to do everything one by one, sometime overnight tonight or sometimes early tomorrow morning, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, the IT team will send you the link. We never miss anyone. If you don't get it by 8 o'clock, look at your junks to start with. Look at your junk link, because a lot of Keshe Foundation if you do over 10 messages to Google, it will block it. So those of you who have a Google account or other accounts, you have to check your, what do you call it, your junk as well, to see what a message comes from the Keshe Foundation. And most of you have the link anyway. If you are new, wait till tomorrow morning. Most probably it'll be fully covered. We hardly ever we left anybody out on. And the Zoom number, the password is set, and your link is already set up using the, you have to come in with the email you made the request. If you come with another email, you will not get in, because that email is opened up to enter the session. And again, you can use one headset phone, which is left or what you go to your ears, or you can use two headset phones set up, one on the forehead, one on the back, with one pair to your head, to your ears, or some people use a 4-line connections, the left and right loop of the brain, the central brain line, and the ears. Tomorrow experience will be very interesting. We'd like to see how you like to react. And don't panic. We used to send out one on early the week, and then we had latecomers. We're still receiving this morning people who are going to participate. So everything will be done by tonight and it'll be sent out. And you will see in your email or your junk, and you can only come in with the email you made the application for, not with another one. You will not be able to get it. But we have people on the standby. We check if people run into trouble. We have one of our knowledge seekers every time she's in trouble, but somehow she gets in after resetting. And if you don't have the connection opened up, you cannot come in. Even you have the link, but it's not set on the computer backup to open for that specific case, it will not open. And you had a question.
And that will start at 9 a.m. and go
9
till 5.
9 to 5. Actually,
it'll open a bit earlier as well, like 8:45 or something, to let people in.
Raphael usually opens it on 8:30, 8:45. Or the IT team will open it in the background. You have 10 or 15 minutes, do all your coughing and chatting and the rest of it. And when we start the session at 9. Tomorrow I'll be with you live for 2 hours by 11, maybe 15. Then I leave the session because it has to be done by you, but we are monitoring, changing everything in the background. And then we might let the system to go till maybe the lapse time of 30 hours after Zoom, or maybe longer if he allows us. The whole of weekend you can come in and go.
And sorry, go ahead.
Pardon. And it's a new system. I was with it yesterday. I'm again this afternoon with it, trying to make sure everything is in the correct way. Our team is setting everything up. We would like you, as we done with the other exercises, you can write a comment into the chat live. Don't write, oh, I'm this, I'm that. If you reach somewhere to a point, yes, just write down what it is and watch the chat, because if I come or anybody comes in to talk, it distracts you. So while you close your eyes or whatever, try to keep every now and then an eye in the chat, see if there's a new instructions, but we don't have new instructions. We control everything through our, what they call systems, how you receive, when you receive, the way you receive. We change parameters frequently. We observe how you react. And more or less, when we change what we call parameters, we look for the first 3 to 5 minutes. And that is our, what they call, cue for the next step. But we allow that to settle, and then we go to the next step. but primarily tomorrow from 9 o'clock. We still keep on changing systems till afternoon or whatever, but by 5 o'clock on, you're on your own. You can come in and go, you can go for a dinner, come back in. Please make sure nobody touches your system when you're away. Don't give it to somebody else to come in to test. You will understand the reasons. And follow what I call the true vow of silence. Keep quiet. Stop coughing. Stop jumping. Stop all sorts of things that allows us to do our work and allows us to run our what we call testing. Because tomorrow's session is a new what they call parameters, is a new structure. We have worked with the structure for months and years. And we would like to see it, how it behaves, how it comes. It's the first steps of plasma transmutation. And it's crucial. Some of you might go through the transmutation. Some of you might reach the point of, for the first time, maybe to go through conversion. But it's for you. And then you tell us how we keep you connected to our system continuously, which means we're not going to lose you in space. And we'll see where we go. But it's very much, as I said, the first time we have put you on the boat of Noah. Depends where you go, Hoha, and where you're going to land and how you're going to land. Any other question?
Renate also asked, will it be translated?
Usually, in the beginning, we have 3 or 4 translators who do translate, yes. We have usually the German, the Portuguese, I don't know, French. They have a couple of Iranians.
Sometimes Italian.
Sometimes Italians. And sometimes Chinese, depends if they're in these sessions. Sometime in next couple of months, there is a broadcast in Italian, which is getting organized by the Italian knowledge seekers. That it'll be an interview, but in a depth, in a what I call dimension of the new dimension Keshe Foundation work is getting set up. Our knowledge seekers have worked on it. It's just structuring the interview. It'll be translated fully, I think, into Italian before it's transmitted. But it's one of those in-depth in what they call interviews or discussions we have for a long time. And we'll see how it comes. We inform you if you want to listen to both versions, the English and the Italian version. Any other question?
Okay, let's go on to a question in the webinar chat here from Claudia, who says, hi, Mr. Keshe, you teach us about the soul transmutation and start to teach the physical transmutation. But does it exist, the emotional transmutation? Could you please say more about it?
It goes with it. You don't have no choice. You take your emotion with you. Or you take your emotion with you. That consciousness, in a way, once you expand, you understand the point of transmutation. Because I explained this to knowledge seekers before. When the energy, central energy, what you call this whole expands behind the physicality, Physicality doesn't have the needs of the physical existence, because it's like cuddled, it's just cocooned, is in the comfort zone of the field that I don't have to do anything. I don't need to steal to survive. I'm inside. I survive, and in comfort. I don't need to lie. I don't need to do wrong thing and the rest of it. So more or less, if that panic state doesn't set in, which we've shown you before, you keep on jumping between physicality and the soul, and physicality and the soul. When you get to that straight line of connection with each other, you have the same emotion. So the line of emotion becomes one. In a way, I don't lie, you don't lie, we want to go there, we go there. The soul of physicality, through the memory, wants to see the grandmother. And what it is, ask the soul, can you take me to grandmother? Because I cannot do. I want to see the grandmother, to see how my grandmother looked like. And there, at that point, it's a job of the soul. I know where she is, we go. It's very strange. It gives you some sort of connections you don't feel unless you're in it. I had a grandfather, died years ago. My father was an orphan at a young age because he died prematurely in an accident, I was told. And to me, it was just I had a grandfather. One of my cousins recently sent me a picture. This picture is got a brick, one level brick on the floor, and a flat stone bearing my grandfather's name, date of birth, his title, and whatever you put. And for the first time, for me, I was connected to something which before I had no connection. And this stone on the ground created a cycle of life in me, trying to see the soul of my grandfather. And would I intrude to see him, or would he accept another soul to visit him? And that's a dilemma for me for the past few days. Something I was, you have a grandfather. Now is there physically, there's a stone, there is a place where his physical remains are kept. And am I, through my emotion of wanting, be able to create that line of connection to see him, to connect with him? And would this, now that has been found, the grave part, what they call it, places we found, are other siblings and those who are created of him, his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, have the same emotion to meet him? Or is it just on the piece of stone? And would I like to transmute to that level? And now sound has taken a shape in a solid state matter of a stone. And interesting, what's written on a stone confirms a lot of things which I was told as a child about my grandfather. And brought everything together, that how his love was transferred to us in the motion of the blood, the father, the family, and how we respect it. That's the dimension of physicality. And what's the dimension of the soul? I see a physical dimension now, but would I be able to connect to the dimension of the soul to see them? I cannot intrude, but would he allow that connection? Would the desire of the soul of physicality and the soul of the man create that condition? And is his soul aware of the grandchildren and great-grandchildren he has? Would they lie to each other? Or would they say, we are not prepared, we are not ready to receive? Or would I be able to find what I call the field of strength of his soul that allows him to know the existence of his grandchild? Would they lie to each other? Or would they, one, not lie but don't agree to be truthful, and you cannot complete because it has to be all connected? And to what extent we understand this is to the extent we can detach from physicality, because we understand the soul is in the perfect hand of the Creator. And this is where the emotion comes in. There is no lie between the two. Is yes, I don't, but no, I do. And to what extent I want. They cannot lie. Soul of physicality, once embraced by the soul of the man, has no need to lie. The emotion is pure love. And to see the soul to be, in a way, if you look at it, I explain it because I see it in your graphs, I see it in digital form. You know, you work all day and you come home and the wife says, you've been working all day, sit down, have a cup of tea, I'll look after you, I'll bring everything, wait till the meal is ready, and you're safe, you're home. This is the feeling the soul of physicality has to receive from the soul of the man. You're home, you're safe. I look after you, you looked after me, you kept me within, now I keep you within. Even though you did all the damages to yourself, now you don't need to kill because you take from me. And if you understand this, then you understand the emotion between the two becomes one. And once it becomes one, you reach the level of the connection to the Creator, because then there is no dimension. One day I teach this, and one day you'll understand. It's too soon. Far too soon. How to judge, how to understand the emotion of the souls as one. Any other question?
In the YouTube, Radic mentions that listening to Mr. Keshe's wisdom, it is something that I have never experienced as a kid from my parents, generally on life and love. That's why I am super grateful to experience it now. And he had a question, are you planning to, Mr. Keshe, are you planning to show transmutation in China? Would that mean that you will be able to change physically as different person? Can we all then fix any physical defects we are born with love?
We are testing. Transmutation is part of our work in Sanya. Full transmutation will be done in Esfahan, and confirmation of it and follow-up to it will be done in Washington. or in Arizona. Depends how we come to an agreement with the American government. The Chinese community is putting a lot of pressure on Keshe Foundation, the organizer part of it, that you have to tell Chinese what you're going to show and they are coming to see. I said, this is not a magic show. This is not what you call Chicago Fair when Edison and Tesla come to show the light. We show by definition of the technology a number of technologies. Transmutation could be possibility of one, or partial production of other things. We are there for defense technology with the Chinese government in part of the structure. In space development, as part of the Chinese agreement we have signed, that we are inviting Chinese military and space people to join, to be in. Then we have extended the invitation, which is very unusual if it takes place, to the American scientists to join us in Sanya. The same will go to a couple of other nations. But in a way, we are not a magic show. We are not a conference to do magics in Sanya. We bring technologies to show. It'll be, you got to understand, part of this technology already ships and starts made to the Chinese. We have shown part of this technology to the Chinese military and officials. We have done a field test to confirm a lot of things. And so, in a way, is production of the, what we call, conditions that shows new achievements. And that's depends on you. A lot of Chinese are asking, show us magic. I say, if I show them magic, I'll have 1 billion people sitting there. I don't need you lot to turn up. You're coming in for the knowledge, you're coming in to understand, and you're coming in to do. But you have to understand a lot of knowledge seekers in China come to steal technology. They are well known for it. We've seen one of the stealing of one of our technologies very recently, and it's on Chinese media. It wasn't there. We showed the technology to the officials. Within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they copied it and they put it as a Chinese invention. We punish Chinese for this heavily. You will understand very soon. What the Chinese did, stealing a technology which didn't exist, and within a few weeks after we demonstrated to the military and to the government, they made it a Chinese invention, and we punish in scientific way the Chinese for this misconduct. And they will understand soon how much they lost for this behavior. And they had the audacity to send us a video of it. But as usual, I have patience, but the Chinese government will pay heavily for doing this. And we have informed the Chinese. You come to the conference, coming to learn about technology, not to steal. And your nation will pay heavily for this job. You lose one part of the technology, which brings huge payment for your, what we call, industrial revolution. In a way, you lose exclusivity. Now you have to deal with the other governments who will come out as than you. So we expect to see beautiful technologies in China, but don't come there to steal technologies. Any other question?
Okay, let's see. From Ping Peter in YouTube, would mass transmutation induce nuclear decay? Addition of energy could cause an imbalance to the planet and causing it to split?
We have a beautiful saying in Farsi. We say, what is the ant to make a soup with his legs? You understand? The energy of the human is so small that doesn't make any difference in the whole structure of the plasma field of this planet or this solar system. It's important to us because it's our soul, but we are, as the old songs say, we are breaking the wall. And this is the wall of China. And when it breaks, you get in there to make that wall. Any other question?
From Off Script in YouTube, good day, Mr. Keshe. Why, upon transmutation re-entry, it felt like the body is more something loading data as the awareness returns to the physicality? Thank you for explaining my experience scientifically. I'm not sure.
It's that cry of birth we have at the point of physical birth from the womb of the mother. We're aware of life within the womb. Once we go through the birth tunnel, we have to then learn a new life instantaneously. But part of it is settled in our genes, in our information data, how to convert. Our soul does the same when you go through transmutation. It's not downloading, it's balancing that the physicality can support the information or the travel you had to the energy level. And more of you will experience this. I've spoken about the cry of all of you, you make that sound when you come back to transmutation. That crying sound, that oh. Because it's in a way you cried when you were born out of the womb of the mother to click on the systems. You go through the same system. Physicality confirms, I'm returned, I'm here. Have you ever been with a child? You go shopping and you come home and say, the child walks in and say, I'm home. Hello home, I'm home. And you laugh. And it's that way. You come back home and you announce with that, you call it whatever word you choose. But yes, you all go through it. It's actually adjusting. It's just accepting what I call lower level voltage. It's like traveling at 140 kilometers down the motorway, and then there's a sign 30 kilometers. You have to get there. And that brings that sign of awareness. And it's very common. It's not downloading, it's just what they call balancing to the new condition. And it's nice for you to explain it because this is exactly what happens. The more you learn to do these transmutation, the more you learn the art of enlightenment. I was explaining recently a cycle of souls I had to go through in contact with and what's going to happen. And usually when I go through this, in a few time in the future, I am in that position and say, oh, I know why I saw or why I was aware of through the soul this will come. And part of this, what I call soul transmutation, was very, very, it is because what I know where I go, how it's done. It was very, very interesting. I explained that too in one of our knowledge seekers. I was in Vatican, and the Pope was folding the hats and the robe and putting it on the table and saying, my job is done, but I promise I kept. You can take the stones back. I brought the cycle to an end, as I promised. That'll be the last one. And it was very interesting how sincere the man was and how the emotion was there in seeing the what do you call it, the frog to come off, and ordinary man walks out, and his emotion was, is for the rest to understand, the time has come. And it was very interesting. How would we, or is it part of the beginning of a structure to come? But in time I'll explain these things. And then when you come back to the dimension of physicality, for me is, or now what I have to set up for this to complete. What is left to be done? The soul has taken the track. Now physical life has to bring the dimension. Any other question? Are you there, Rick?
Oh, sorry, I didn't have my mic open there. It looks like you've wrapped up the questions on our chats, and well, I think there's a new question in Q&A here. Okay, there we go. From Pure Luigi in the Q&A. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. There's one thing that often moves me, music. If fields and plasma bring balance to the human body, can they also be conveyed with sound, in particular with music, which already in itself conveys emotions and the beauty of the creator? Thank you.
In a way, yes. But you can listen to music 100 times, it's just noise. And once the strength of the emotion is the strength of the field of that music, it brings you a new dimension. And it has a meaning. And we say it touches the soul, but in fact it's being at the same strength. Because that sound is made by matter state, by strings, or by somebody shouting the voice of the man. Matches you feel it, you touch it, and then it has a meaning. And yes, it does. You just, if it touches, and they feel the strength of your emotion. Which emotion? Joy, hate, understanding the time and nature. And this, it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. Some sounds brings back certain emotions, certain reflections of life. And yes, it does. Sound does, because a noise, a sound, a music covers many spectrums, and it just needs one of them to match. It's like a virus. If it's at the strength of the cell, it attaches to it. Music is a sound. It attaches to the emotion which has dimension with it. And then you might get the hair raised or tears, and the rest of it, which becomes a sign, what they call it, the byproduct of that emotion. We all have it, but how we sense it. I get this quite often because I travel quite a lot to Central Vienna, and every time I go to the Central Vienna, There is a place in the center where the horses are, and these carriages go around the city, showing the city is beautiful to be in them. But when you get to the center, there is sometimes 10, 20 of these horses. And Viennese horse show, or what you call it, center is on the same block. And this noise of horses on the cobblestones, sometimes it sounds like a march, because they're all 10 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them are walking to go off. They got the passenger, they get up. And it brings back to me, I don't know how it does, what connection is, I've never understood yet, marching of the German army, which we hear the way they march. And don't forget, this was the center of the, what we call, German structure through Hitler. And it's amazing, I have the same feeling on one street in Belgium, and I have the same feeling, the same emotion in Nuremberg. Part of Nuremberg, when I walk, and there's a cobblestones, and this brings the same emotion in 3 different places in Europe for me. And it's very hard to understand what it means, what it touches, why it just brings a march of German army into my head, the way we hear it, they marched. And it's just a noise. But this noise at that frequency creates a given emotion, which sometimes I have to understand what it means. Why does this noise means this to me? I stopped going to Nuremberg because it became too strong for me, this emotion, Nuremberg. And what does the sound mean? The music, the level of it. Is it an imprint of what I've seen in music, or is it an imprint of being there and connected to something? And it's the same, what emotion it creates. And I heard many times, I've been on carriages from when I was a little boy in Iran. Never had that feeling. My mom used to enjoy taking me on carriages to see in Tehran. And it was something I always looked for. I didn't want to go with a car, I wanted to go on the carriage. And the noise of the horse, clip clap, meant a lot to me. And never had, that was a pleasure, but this sound is the same animal, the same hooves, I call it, but it brings a different emotional strength. And this is what we have, is connected to our emotion, it's connected to our soul. But we have to find out where it's connected to and why. Any other question?
Yes, I had a question about, you were talking earlier and in a previous broadcast about how you're creating cosmic radiation, and you're very clear to say not rays, not cosmic rays, and not fields. So can you explain a little more what you mean by cosmic radiation, how that's different than rays or fields?
Fields is collection of rays in a way, or a field or a ray which has a structure of strength. Rays is in a way in one direction and as one ray, as one strength. Radiation is created out of interaction. But this is very, very clear in the world of creation. If you call it Earth is if you consider it, or the solar system in the galaxy, is like a field. The carbon-14 is a ray, but interaction of the carbon-14 with the fields of the solar system creates a friction which we call it radiation, or what you call cosmic radiation. It's an art to create it, it's an art to detect it, and it needs a lot of visualization of how you create that condition. And radiation usually is monoenergetic and very much like a laser. A smaller bandwidth of a strength. Ray has a slightly bigger, and a field is a volume of it. We produce cosmic radiation at will. The body of man does the same, and we know the process. We create a field at will at the moment as well. The knowledge of our knowledge seekers has reached the point that we can create all three simultaneously. In advanced space technology, we have passed using gases, we have reached creation of the fields, which is a massive step in the science and technology. And it'll be shown in Sanya for sure. Any other question?
Yeah, a question from N. Vilken in the YouTube. Says in the Bible it says that death will be coming out of the graves. What exactly does this mean, and how do we interpret and understand that? Can you elaborate?
Who wrote it? Who wrote Bible? What it meant in the Bible? And whose Bible? And what was the purpose of putting it there? Any other question? I'm not a believer in what you call what is written in the holy books, because it's all written to fit. None of it has been, or very small part of it has been. Siphoning off which side, which part is real is a different thing. As I said to knowledge seekers, I go for a history, and history does not lie because it's written by many and it can be confirmed by many. One man writing does not make the history book, but when it's done by two or three simultaneously at the time of occurrence is a better indication. Men have put things in to fit them. Men have brought things to fit them. And men have done a lot of things to fit it, to a lot of things for the rest to believe. And Christianity is one of them, which is full of it. Literally. Nothing in Torah is real. Torah is a storybook of many old histories brought back into one history book and given one name for them to all to fit. It's actually, if you read the historical type of Torah and what you read as a Torah, is the history of the what I call grandma's chat, which has been collected by who said what and could have had one beginning and then built up and built up and it's become the Torah. There's nothing, there's a big question mark in the actual truth about the whole real structure of the Torah. There was a guy called Moses. He did certain things, but the rest of the book is just made up from history. You're from this village, you brought part of your history, you elaborated, and instead of Mr. John, you put Moses in it. The other guy came, he saw an apple falling, rotting, and the worm came out of it. He changed it to this and that, put the Moses on it, it became in Torah. And because there is no historical background to it, but you see, it's all a bunch of what I call lies, or lies in a way of stories of the time changed to, because it had to be made to be fit for somebody to be good. And this is the same with all the religions. How, what is being written, what it fits. If you look at it in what you say, the race comes out of the cup. And yes, I tell you what, in English we call it, as most of you know, it's called the last spell. The last spell was that those days they didn't know when you're actually dead. They used to leave your body on the table for a few days, and if you didn't move anymore, they buried you. And then sometime in the future, when they came to dig the graves out, they found out the guy is not the way he was left to be dead. Actually, he was alive, and now he's trying to dig himself out. They connected a rope to his toe, and they put the bell on top of the grave, and somebody sat there for a few days that if he comes back, he rings the bell, and they jump in and get him out. And now, if what happened, a guy dies and alive, they bury him, and there's no bell, and that soul has to come out, leaves the body, because just because you thought he's physically dead, he's not dead. Now dies in the grave, and the soul comes out. Would that be that meaning? People who they buried by mistake? Or does he have another meaning? Even today's in modern medicine, every now and then it happens. Somebody they put in the mortuary, all the electronics says dead, it comes back. And they hear kicking and bashing into what they call in the mortuary. Is it that? Are they trying to tell us they were aware of some people being buried alive, but they put it in different form? This is all part of the who decided to have a say, and I managed to get a paragraph in the Torah. Managed to get a story in the story of the Bible, and this is what it is. Written 300-400 years later. Most of the people who wrote or told these stories to be written by order of Quraysh, it didn't even come from Palestine. There was no chance they could have ever met Moses or Jesus. Impossibility. But now they say a story about something somewhere. To read about Christ, read the historical books written at the time, during that time. And then you'll see if there is any references and if there are any magics anywhere written by anyone. The rest is grandmother's story, which is made a holy book. And I can pick up story after story and tell you where it comes from, most of it, how it was put in. In a way, if you look at Torah, Quraysh got it to be written to celebrate Yehovah, the God of what they call people of the area. And with it, in writing it, they praise him in the book he got to be written. It was a self-appraisal. But it had to be put a lot of other things to it. Otherwise the Torah did not exist before Kodesh. In a shape or any form. And is one king writing something about another God that praises him for being there, doing things. Even though a lot of it was done on a goodwill, and now it's become the pattern and the rest of it, to give the right to. And we see it haven't changed after 3,000 or 4,000 years. They still do the same, what I call massacres, as we see in Gaza, as they've done in the time of the guy, and we've seen the same by them in the past decades and centuries. As I said before, if we do it, they say they've done it, when they do it to themselves, nobody can be blamed. And with what's happening to in Gaza, you will see the end of the state of Israel by themselves. You will see it's coming up. By the conduct of the misconduct, by the same as done by Moses, they became Bedouin, and they were left in the desert. Now, Netanyahu is doing exactly the same, because it's the behavior, and you see the end of. They become nomads again. They do it by themselves. And you will see in coming time, I advise the Iranian government to take a step to do it faster, and they're sitting and watching, but they do it to themselves. The way Moses brought with his behavior for to become nomads, this situation will bring Israel to that point. In a way, they're trying to destroy Palestine, they destroy themselves, but because they do it themselves, nobody can blame. And we see the end of Judaism. It's come to its full cycle, it's the time. And they do it themselves. When you kill 10,000 children, snipers, these souls has to be answered to the suffering mothers and fathers home. Excuses does not give a reason to. And nobody could do it better than Netanyahu. You will see the end of Judaism with this, because a lot of Jews will walk away from it because of it, and you'll see more and more nations will turn back on, and sooner or later we see they've done it themselves by their own behavior, by the misconduct of the way they were taught to. They made the same mistake. And we saw what happened when Moses was there. This guy has no soul, so imagine what happens with the rest of them which are there. Any other question?
I believe we covered the questions well. We have a hand up here with Selena. Perhaps we can allow that, and maybe we can wrap up after that if you like.
Yep, thank you very much.
Go ahead, Selena.
Hi, hello, Mr. Keshe. I never came to your this
Would you
teaching.
like to tell us where you're from? Who you are?
I'm Selena Rahman. I'm from Georgia, USA.
Yeah, I know you, but our listeners don't know you, so carry on.
We used to talk in the one
American. Yes.
Yeah. So last week, dream. A lot of time I talk about the dream and those strengths. So this time is little bit different. and I know there is a meaning. So I'm saying if I make the sad, I'm sorry. I'm saying sorry before that. Uh, um, I saw last Saturday Bengali teaching about that. I saw a doctor, famous doctor, and he's good doctor, and he's like 65 years old, strong, and like height is more than 6 feet, and healthy. Maybe he's gonna live 100 years, who knows? Name. So everybody knows him very good. He's very good, and so it is the real life. So I saw in the dream omen in the big house. There is a big uh, living room type thing, very big, like a palace. And then they're torturing the man, tie the man in the like a bed, and then I was panicked, and in panic, and suddenly the dream, somebody the dream, like I felt somebody just moved me from this to, and then I saw that normal dream, like everyday life, we like those kinds of dream, and then again back me in that dream. So that time I'm little bit mentally strong, so I try to feel those omen. They are doing that to that man. The omen are told to those are women, two women, like two women, like white two, and those are tall, strong, but skinny women, and they're 35 to 45 between. So I heard, and then I didn't feel them anything. Just they want to do. They don't have any emotion. It's like a robot, and then they try punish that man because he did a lot of bad stuff to women, and we don't know, but they know they're doing their part. And then to feel that man hurt, and then I felt that like a normal people, but he knows he did a lot, so it is his punishment. If he try to if he want forgiveness to them, they never gonna understand. So he will get his punishment. So that it was sad. I know there is a lesson. I think in the future, power, and we need to forgive a lot of. I think so. That was the message. So I want to tell you, and I want to tell everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anything else, Rick?
Well, there was another question come up in the Q&A if you wish to address it.
Yeah.
From Achilles Tha. Just for clarification, I recently on Internet Media of China, it's widely reported that the National University of Defense Technology of China has invented a cutting-edge technology which they call a plasma shield. A lot of bloggers have made videos about this technology, and many military fans and young people are very excited because it looks like a technology that only exists in science fiction movies, and it comes to be true. Is this the reason that Mr. Keshe just said that China will be punished scientifically?
Uh, the punishment for the way we say it's not going to do this, it means we share the knowledge. There is a number of steps the Chinese have taken. We have shown openly to them the technology, and they think they have videoed it. Now they can copy it instead of following what was agreed. So it's not balanced, and it's not correct. You got to understand, these technologies never existed. How come suddenly in the past times where we show technology suddenly appears? And there's a need for correct conduct. Technology is there to come out. Technology is there, is not there to be stolen to come out. And stolen means without our knowledge, without being there confirming the technology. And this is a habit of Chinese, because it has to be Chinese. But you have to understand, what is taken or hidden or called stolen comes with no blessing. And this habit has to go out of this nation. Pride of nationalism has blinded the man to the lies of action. And Chinese will face that. They got away with it a lot of time in the Met. This time with us, their own conduct will not, will be left, what do you call it, to carry on with it. And as I said, there are 2 or 3 technologies which we have shown, never seen, and within weeks they come out, it's the Chinese. I met one of the Chinese scientists prior to what I call the Corona session. I was invited to one of the top military shows, what they call scientific exhibitions in China. And when I arrived, they say no one can come in, no foreigners can be in this exhibition. We were invited officially by the officials. Later on, I found out why, because part of the Keshe Foundation technology was shown there, and they were showing it, and they didn't want us to say this is our technology. But it had a very interesting effect, because I was there by invitation, standing at the entrance door. They had a hullabaloo that no foreigners can come in, and I saw 2 or 3 Americans standing there. I think I've explained this before. And they told me to stand against the wall, right against opposite the entrance, that I don't see anything. Now I found out in the past few months, when we got back to China, that they're actually showing a stolen technology from Keshe Foundation. That's why. They were shocked that I was there. They didn't know one of the scientists has invited me. And there were these 2 or 3 Americans, they were told again, stand against the wall. And as I was standing, I said to the Americans, what are you doing here? The guy introduced himself to be the military attaché of the American embassy. He's come to see, and they won't, it's the first time they don't let him in. I said, do you know who I am? He says, no. I said, I'm your mentor, my technology. He said, oh, you are Mr. Keshe. We know you're in China. I said, would you like to talk? We organized to meet later on in an empty restaurant, which was very unusual. And that time, it didn't click on me why suddenly receiving an official invitation to go to a military exhibition, which was highly confidential, having a national clearance. I have a full clearance at the highest level in China to deal with the military, and there should be nowhere that I could be not allowed in. And after the Corona, I found out why. Because they were showing a stolen technology of the Keshe Foundation. and they couldn't say it's theirs. Then this habit of China has to stop. And the only it stops is when they find out they are not the only one. And that's their punishment. Trying to rapidly develop, you don't steal. And they have this habit. They've done it in agriculture with us, they've done it in Corona with us, they've done it in space technology, they've done it in gas production, they've done it again and again. And then when we caught them and told them you're spying in, they accused us of being a spy for Americans. I said, now you play the game straight. And yes, ask yourself, how come China didn't have it 6 months ago, a year ago? And suddenly now they have come up. But they don't understand the essence of it. It's walking with 3 legs missing of a dog. And we have established a system that Americans, Iranians, South Africans, and the French will face China in a bigger way, on equal term, and this is good in a way as well. Their behavior of stealing technology is getting, what do you call it, furious. Furying a lot of scientists outside. And I've come across a lot of them doing dodgy things, trying to get technologies. You got to understand, China is facing a massive internal financial position. And anything to keep the nation running at the moment is more crucial than anything else. And I keep very quiet because we're too close. We work very close with this people. And yes, one of the reasons on this is, ask yourself, how come they were not there? And every time after we show things physically, a few months later, a few weeks later, they come up with. They went to our knowledge seekers prior to beginning of Corona, saying, we know you're a student, Keshe, come and work with Chinese military to make the ganses for it. And 2 or 3 of knowledge seekers who are listening, they said, no, we are his student, we stayed loyal. And a couple of our knowledge seekers, they went to become millionaires. But look at them, they're listening. What's going to happen to your children in Canada and United States and your family, and how you're running into a problem everywhere. Your soul is balancing the works. If you haven't understood up to now, soon you'll understand. We have no problem. I don't go, we're going to take them to court. We've brought the knowledge to be shared. Abusing it, stealing it, it's, you have to learn. Pretend to be a correct, and underneath of it to steal and be conducting correct is, it's like the adultery. But in time it will set itself. We wish them all the best. But they find out what they stole in plasma, they took a crumb, but they lost the cake. Any other question?
We have Marinez with a hand up here. Go ahead, Marinez.
Oh, by the way, before I forget, Marinez coming here. Our Iranian team were coming to Sanya conference, bringing with them the celebration table of the Iranian New Year, which is on the 20th of March, that we celebrate together. So you will have a full Persian Iranian New Year table to celebrate with all of us. Fresh from Tehran.
I hope this year will be a very peaceful year for everybody. And thank you, Mr. Keshe, for all your patience. And I was thinking that maybe like in Quran, it starts every teaching with saying, any chapter with, in the name of God, who is enormously giving and enormously forgiving. So it means that I think maybe the idea of punishment is a gain out of kindness, out of love.
We call it a punishment. I call it a punishment in a way. The punishment comes from not receiving and not punishing the way you say in common language. For some, not receiving the love given to them is more punishable than receiving the love and not knowing what to do with it. In balancing the book by the souls, by behavior, without you doing anything wrong, you do everything correct, is a punishment by the soul of physicality. When we talk about punishing the Chinese, the punishment to me is not going to do damage to them, is actually sharing the knowledge with more people. That what they thought they had exclusive becomes no value.
I was talking about general. Yes.
Generally speaking, it's the same in Quran. In the name of mercy and merciful God. But sometimes when people receive too much, they forget what they received. And this is not getting, even is on the table. You can't, it's like you like a food, but unfortunately you have a food infection and the most delicious food you love is on the table, you cannot touch. You understand? It's not that they haven't cooked it for you. It's not that they don't do it because to punish you. It's there, but you cannot touch. And it's a very painful feeling. I know this feeling so well. I learned it when I was a very young boy. And it's this time of year, exactly this time of year. I used to consume a lot of sugar. I was highly hyperactive. Nobody could stop me. Everything game in the world I played, day and night, from 5 o'clock in the morning till 11, 12 o'clock at night, they couldn't stop. It was just like a bullet, bruise everywhere, playing everything. And I got injured in football. And this injury came to a point that it became infectious. I hid it, but somehow my parents found out. They took me back just now, just 2 or 3 weeks before Eid. The doctor said this can lead to amputation, but it has to be done something. You cannot touch no sweet, nothing for 3 months to bring the sugar balance down, and we see if the leg can be saved, that the injury can be sorted. Now you understand. It's no rules. Everywhere you go is sweet, most delicious sweets. You know the taste of everyone, and you have to sit there and not to touch. And I understood fully the statement of the punishment. It's not that they're taking away. You're not looking after yourself. You bring yourself to that point. Not doing the right things. And it's a self-punishment. And this is how the Creator is. Provides everything. It's you who deny yourself in accessing to it, even though it's there. That's to me a point. When I talk about punishment, we're going to hit you. No. We make it so much available that you cannot even touch it. And that's your pain. Understand the misconduct.
Yes, or maybe educate them. Like I had imagined that those who are done very bad, God makes, they become like nothing, like dust, till a long time, million years later, they become, they go through evolution and they become educated to become a human being again, or a live animal. So it takes time that they educate. It's again the process of education.
It is process of education, but when you don't have the education, it's very hard to teach. This is the problem. I wonder what happens in the name of the other people. There's a lot of videos on the internet you can watch about the what do you call the tribes in jungles of Brazil. No one has ever been in touch with them. There are small tribes, 10 people, 5 people, 16 people, 20 people. They've never seen man. They still are in arrows and that kind of thing. And now, not to intrude, not to put what we call mercenaries in, the scientific world is using the drones to video them from distance. And they see this. To them, it must be a UFO, aliens coming to get them, and they try to hit them with the arrows and the rest of it. But they don't understand it's a little man-made things, and he has a battery and he can fall, and you know, the rest of it. Because they don't have the knowledge. And we watch them. It's the same. Man does not have the knowledge. And this is their problem. It doesn't mean that the knowledge is not there just because they live in the jungle with that. A human race at the moment is those people in jungles of Amazon with not even the arrows, they still can throw stones, and they don't understand what's above them watching them and what will be the future. And would they understand the future? And we see this now in the structure of the, for example, Chinese. Chinese at the moment are in such a position that they're striving everywhere to bring some balance. Economically, the situation is not what it looks outside. Politically, it's not what it looks outside. And how they try by studying other technologies to show they're advancing to do this and that, baffled a few of the Chinese, but those who are behind know it's just a stolen technology. And this is one of the biggest problems we see is with all the nations, not just one. But the punishment comes by their own structure, by themselves. I use the word of punishment, it's not just we're gonna do this. No, the punishment is what was supposed to be exclusively yours to develop it fully. You took it and gave it to 10 Chinese men who understand 1% of it, they think now they found. Now 100% goes in the hand of the others. You find out, oh shoot, why didn't we do it properly from the beginning? And it's their problem, not ours. We don't stop collaboration. Actually, the more they leak, the more allows us to open the technology to the others that they find that they have nothing. We haven't stopped. We would have said no presentation in Sanya, blah, 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 not here, not there. No. We show more for them to learn to be correct. And when they learn correct, they get full knowledge. This is the beauty of it.
Thanks for your teaching. We learn from your soul teaching. We get the confidence and we get out of the confusion of religions, and we can understand even the religions the way it is correct to understand. And the places which are not understand, we understand it. So it gives that confidence that everything is okay. The challenges are okay. It's for me to better myself, to correct something, to go in front in a way. And that's a beautiful life you offered us in a way, all the time, to be in a happy state of soul, happy state of life.
In a way, happiness out of correctness. It's in a way, if you do something for the betterment of more than you, it comes back to you in so many ways. And I learned that in my business life, I learned that in my private life, I learned that in even the teaching of the Keshe Foundation. And I set this through personal, what you call it, emotional feelings, even during my business time. Because When I felt something, it was so strong that I didn't want anybody else to feel it. And it brought me to verge of being killed, destroyed, and the rest of it. But to me, it was irrelevant because the principle of not another personal feeling, what I felt was more important than me. And it's the same, sharing the knowledge that more people find a way out is more important than you. And I learned that in a very hard and a beautiful way in 1980s, 1990s. I was traveling quite frequently and around Europe, around the world for business. And I booked my children to go to our Italian hairdresser on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. They've always been there from their childhood. It was somewhere where the hairdresser was, the hairdresser of all the players of the Manchester United. It was a private, so they could see the idols when they were in for a haircut and everything else, and it was very private. And that weekend I couldn't be in Manchester, I had to be somewhere else. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, and suddenly the news came that there was a huge bomb in Manchester, in city center. As we all know what happened, the whole city center destroyed. And where they were supposed to be was less than 50 meters, maybe less, from where the bomb went off. And you don't know if you send your children to death. I called Downing Street. I said, I want a clear answer. Downing says, Mr. Keshe, stand by. We don't have news from Manchester. We are just working. I called MI5. I said, I want an answer. MI5, the head of I says, Mehran, just step down. We don't have answer. You have to wait because we can't leave knowledge out. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, MI5 called me, says, Mehran, your children are not in it. There's no, but I said, what about my wife? They were supposed to be together. They said, we cannot give you an answer about your wife. Just your 2 sons are safe. I called Downing Street. I said, I want an answer. You have to respond to me. You're not letting us to fly in to be Manchester. They closed all the airspace, everything we could have fly in. And late that evening, I received a call from MI6, head of MI6, saying, Mehran, your wife is safe. Nobody has been hurt. And somehow they couldn't get in touch. I couldn't get in touch with them. I, years later, came across through my business that in Southport there is a bridge. Those who know from Southport University, they come into Manchester. I had a meeting with MI5 and MI6. We had to walk on the bridge because nobody could hear or hear whatever it was discussed. It was a situation of Northern Ireland. And the British officer told me, Mehran, you're accepting a lot of responsibility in coming into this to support that we can bring an end to the Northern Ireland situation. I said to them, yes, I'm in. They said, you're not even British. Why are you fighting it? I said, you don't know what happened to me when Manchester bomb went off. And I don't want no parents to feel what I felt. Let's do it. And that talk on that bridge, within days we started stripping IRA and the rest, because there was a commitment not to let another father leave what I left for those hours. And because he was sincere, Downing Street always said it was one of the biggest helps we had to bring the situation on Ireland to an end. We planned, we stripped IRA and other side from every penny we had, they had. And we did right in front of their eyes. And they all knew everything ends up in my offices. It wasn't that there was something secret. They could follow where they were stripped off. And at the end, we won. And now today, we have no bombs. You got to understand how many bombs they've been at each other's throats for 300 years, this lot, killing each other. And with knowing how I felt in Manchester bombing, with my children, it brought me a few months, a few years later, to be able to be part of. And when it was done, it brought huge financial rewards for our organization, for our companies. Untold financial return. But it didn't matter. Never thought was, that time we didn't even think it'll be any financial. It was just a matter of getting done in this everyday bombing and parents losing their children and everything else in other cities and in different part of Northern Ireland. And this brings a commitment. This brings a commitment to serve, irrespective of what could be consequences of it, if it helps the others. And now, 25, 30 years later, we see how peaceful Northern Ireland has become. There's no more bomb. You don't hear. There was every day a bomb going out, mother losing their children, and parents losing their loved ones, and the same. And this is something I've been committed to for a lifetime. Not just because it brings you, it just serves the other not to go through what you've been. I remember the fear face of the MI5 officer on the bridge in Salford, saying, Mehran, they can kill you. I said, let them do. If it stops another father suffering, it's worth it. The hugs we got each other on the bridge, some people must have thought these people are crazy passing by. But it was decided and it was executed to perfection. And we see 30 years of peace. It's for me, it's the way of living. It's not just to say and do.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for today. We're still back about our slavery program, as our friend said it is. You can register for what you call Arizona. We are not changing anything, it stays the same. And you can still register for Sanya if you want to join. I know the Germans are meeting tomorrow or so to send 3 people. If you send people from communities, the entrance fee is waived. You just pay for the hotel and the flight of the people to Sanya. And if you can afford more than the 3, nominate somebody from another nation who cannot be there. And those of you who are with us tomorrow, I hope you have an enjoyable trip. It's going to be a fantastic time tomorrow for many of you. Thank you very much, Rick. And see you tomorrow or next Thursday.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I just remind people that the Keshe Foundation store has both the space plasma research teams is #1 here, the space traveler seminar, and also further down is the transmutation preparation sessions. one of which will be going on tomorrow. Again, starting at 9 a.m. Okay. My other screen up here. Well, thank you everybody for being with us today. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for another great show. And I think we can all look forward to another one same time next week, so far as we know. Our next public teaching workshop will be, get the calendar up here. The One Planet, One Nation, One Race for World Peace and Justice on Tuesday, February 20th. That starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Time slot. And that's with members of the Universal Council who will be presenting the show. So folks are welcome to attend that. Let's see, what else do we have to announce? I think that's about it for now. Jalal had mentioned a couple of times one comment, maybe I'll just say, and he wanted to say the work of skin and muscles and bone, that is what we need to understand. Okay, thank you, Jalal. All right, thank you everyone for being here today, and we'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version, and we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop. Bye for now.